Recording in progress. Good evening to everybody that is present on this Zoom meeting. It is 18:30. I would like to start this meeting. Welcome to the Honourable Minister of Water and Sanitation, the Director General of the Department of Water and Sanitation, the Deputy Minister, Chairperson of Rand Water Board, and esteemed board members, the CEO of Rand Water, and honourable members of Parliament to serve in this Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation. Thank you for availing yourself for this meeting. I would like also to extend our sincere appreciation to Rand Water for arranging this presentation on such short notice and for their readiness to address the pressing issues of that's reflecting Gauteng's water crisis. Your responsiveness and dedication are commendable, reflecting a shared commitment of finding practical solutions to the changes facing our communities. This meeting serves as a virtual platform to constructive engagement where we can collaborate to ensure a sustainable and reliable water supply across Gauteng. I look forward to a productive discussion and the valuable perspectives each of you will bring to the importance of this conversation. Thank you to all for your presence and participation. However, I would just like to say that we have just received, I have not even seen this report. I had to leave Parliament early and get to my home in Acacia Park so that I can join this meeting. I have not seen the updated report, and therefore I request that not one of our committee members would have seen this report, and therefore we will revert back to the old report. If there is some critical issues on the new report, then you're more than welcome to explain that to the committee. As Rand Water is the first time that you are doing a presentation to this committee. It has changed since the 6th Parliament. You will be afforded 45 minutes to do your presentation, and the balance of the time will be utilized to ask you questions. You don't need to present this report verbatim. You can highlight on your report the issues that you would like to highlight, but I request that you revert back to your old report. We can, in future, we can look at the additional 40 pages that you have, I think it's 40 pages, that you've added to your current report. We will see you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks' time again. If you then would like to add that, then you're more than welcome. So I'm now handing over to the Minister to make her presentation so that we could kick off with Rand Water. Over to you, Minister.
Honourable Chair, thank you very much, Honourable Chair, to honourable members of this Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation. The Deputy Ministers, I must apologize for Deputy Minister Mahlobo. He is in transit as he attended plenary physically. DG and all staff members, the chairperson of the board and all board members, thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, the additional information does not change the content of the report that was sent to you. However, when they make presentation, they will indicate if what they are talking about is on the additional information. So it is just an updated information, and it is not intending by any manner to confuse the committee. Thank you very much, Chair. Honourable Chair, we appreciate this meeting. In your notice, you wanted 3 things from us. When I say us, I include the water board, to provide the information on water challenges in Gauteng, by the board providing more water. We'll respond to that. The second one, according to your notice, Chair, is plans to upgrade infrastructure that the board is mandated to do. And the third one is the effect of the closing of Lesotho Highlands Tunnel. So those are the three basic things that, according to the invitation, Chair, you expect us to reflect on. As I've already greeted honorable members, allow me, honorable Chair, to say, during the policy speech of this department, water and sanitation, and during the budget, we have highlighted two critical provinces that have water challenges. We said it is KZN, we said it is Gauteng. KZN was specific to say around eThekwini. Then Gauteng, we said the entire province of Gauteng is over consuming water as against the international norm or standard, which is 173 per capita per day. But with Gauteng, they go up to 290 something. And we said that is abnormal and something must be done in Gauteng. The demand, Chair, of water in Gauteng continue to grow because of population growth and economic growth. Gauteng as an economic hub, you'll expect this. There has also been an increase in the non-revenue water in municipal systems. We explained exactly this way when we were taking our budget vote. That include illegal connections, unbuilt connections, as well as physical losses such as leaks from municipal water distribution system. For the past 2 weeks, Gauteng has been on news. The planners in the DWS anticipated this growth as early as in the 1980s. Hence, the issue about building or getting water through the Lesotho Highlands water, because we anticipated as a Department of Water and Sanitation that there will be economic growth, there will be population growth, and therefore we need to get more water from surrounding countries. It is unfortunate, therefore, Chair, as you know, that this Lesotho Highland Water Phase 2 was delayed for 9 years. However, major contracts were awarded in 2022 and the construction is underway. Rand Water is extracting water and they are extracting enough water to give to Gauteng. DWS sets a limit on the amount of raw water that Rand Water can abstract from the integrated Vaal River system. The dam storage level can fall rapidly when there is a drought. Hence, we give certain instruction on how far or how much can the board abstract. The Rand Water is currently abstracting the maximum amount from the Vaal River system that is allowed. And it will only be possible when Rand Water is abstracting water from this Vaal system to supply water to municipalities of Gauteng to abstract more after the phase 2. But currently, what they are abstracting is more than enough to feed or to give Gauteng water. At present, Comrade Chair, Honorable Chair and members, what is happening in Gauteng is not because of drought. The peak demand for water from Rand Water in Gauteng is caused occasionally by the fact that Gauteng is using more water. The leakages in Gauteng, the illegal connections that are not disconnected in Gauteng has caused Gauteng to use more water than it's supposed to. We said there's a lot of unaccounted water, non-revenue water. Honorable Chair and honorable members, We met with all municipalities of Gauteng, the premier, as well as the COGTA in Gauteng, to alert them that soon Gauteng will be running out of water. And the only thing that we should do to rescue Gauteng not to run out of water is to put level 1 restriction so that Gauteng must do the right thing. All municipalities. We met for the second time when we started the restriction on the 18th of September. We met more than 3 times to check if there is a change. Unfortunately, Chair, we have to be honest to you, there is no change in terms of Gauteng doing the right thing. Our last meeting was on Monday the 14th. We gave them 4 doable things. The first one was Gauteng, with immediate effect, close the leaks. This is doable. It can be done within in the next 72 hours, it can be done. The second one, you say, disconnect illegal connections. That is doable. We said to Gauteng, you must bill people in the correct manner. That is doable. We said to Gauteng, also focus on your reservoirs so that you can pump enough water. So Gauteng is really not affected by drought. Gauteng situation is out of self-inflicted pain by municipalities who don't want to cooperate. Gauteng, the level in which Gauteng is in now cannot be compared to the level which Western Cape was in when we had to go to day 0. Gauteng can change the situation if there is a political and management will to do so. Rand Water is doing what is expected to be done. There are also, Chair, as I round off, there are also debts that are owed by municipalities of Gauteng to the Rand Water. We have also discussed such matters. There are municipalities out of our engagements that are now settling their current invoices. And as we once reported here, that when they settle invoices, we write off the interest. So, Chair, appreciating this meeting, it assists to give clarity as to say what is really happening in Gauteng. So if since we came to the portfolio committee on the budget vote, we want Gauteng several times, and you cannot watch the situation wherein we'll find Gauteng with no water because there is a non-revenue water, unaccounted water. So we had to rescue the situation in Gauteng, Chair. So far, if they can manage what we have told them, they will be okay. But the premier has intervened, the MEC for COGTA has intervened, and they agree with us that this is the correct path that all municipalities of Gauteng must take. All mayors, municipal managers, and CFOs were in that meeting. They committed that they are going to do a turnaround. But let me allow the chair and the board members to be able to talk to you, Chair. But we are confident that if there can be a turnaround and commitment and dedication by Gauteng, the situation may change with no time. The water supply and disruptions in Gauteng is caused by demand that exceed the supply, not by dams that are not having enough water in Gauteng. Chair, I thank you very much for this opportunity that you are giving to Rand Water. They will get into other matters as per the agenda. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you for your view on this matter. Can I then ask that the chairperson of the board make his introduction or make the presentation? And I would ask that the chairperson or any other person that's going to make the presentation just switch on your camera so that the members can can see you, and if your bandwidth is then too slow, then you may then switch it off. So over to you, Chair of Rand Water.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Minister. Just to save time, I will piggyback on the protocol that has been observed by you, Chairperson, and our Honorable Minister. We feel, of course, disadvantage. We usually make a 2-hour presentation, Chairperson, but we will adhere to your instructions. I'll just touch on high-level issues, and the CE will deal more with operational issues. Just to remind ourselves that Rand Water is set up to generate its own income or revenue from customers, and therefore Rand Water is supposed to be self-funding. And that as a 3B entity that we are referred to as a business enterprise in government. Therefore, we are supposed then to generate our own income, and our board, as a result of that, has more significant, responsibility because of us making sure that this organization is sustainable. I'll just show a slide that shows our accountability in terms of governance. I will not bore much with that, but also to indicate that we have a shareholder compact with the ministry, and on a quarterly basis, we report to the minister on how we perform, on those deliverables. And one of the key issues that will always be the minister will raise is the issue of debt, the issue of the number of days that municipalities take to pay us. The board, by now know the board, will just see the pictures of the board. I would then quickly deal with the Rand Water strategic risks for 2024-25. Number one on our strategic risk is deteriorating availability, reliability, and quality of energy or electricity. We know that we usually don't get affected by load shedding, which is given a different name now. But what impact on us, on our operations, is intermittent power supply. You know about Ikenhof in the west of Johannesburg, where we usually suffer from power supply supplied by Johannesburg. We also know about the Nkurileni, where even today we had power dip for about 2 hours at our Mapleton system, which supplies Nkurileni, Tshwane, and part of Mpumalanga. So when we say we need to, when we raise this issue as a risk, is because you're encountering these things on a daily basis or on a regular basis. One of the issues is encroachment of our pipeline servitude and properties. And this is also related to vandalism that we encounter, and also leads to, yes, ma'am?
Chairperson.
Yes.
Sorry, Chairperson. I think the honourable member wants us you to flight the presentation. Am I correct, honourable member?
Yes, CD, can you please flight the presentation? My apologies, I thought the CE was flighting them.
I didn't want to interrupt
you.
you. I'll speak for the right time to do that, but thank you very much.
Thank you. My apologies. Can you go to the risk CE, the slide 4? So these are the risks that we have. I've mentioned 2 of them. The other risk is deterioration of financial health of the organization. Of course, because of non-revenue water in Gauteng, which stands at 49%, and that superfluous demand and the failure to pay the debt is now about 7.8 billion. The debtors days are increasing. The expected credit loss by the end of our financial year in June was 2.5 million. So these are some of the challenges that we have. Risk number 5 is delays in infrastructure project implementation and completion. And it's also because, one among other reasons, encroachment, and there are areas that the CE will show in his presentation that are no-go areas, meaning we can't go into those areas and maintain our infrastructure. We also have unpredictable weather patterns and extreme events, which you may regard as climate change. And also because of that challenge on itself, leads to high demand, because at times we have challenges of high temperatures, and we also have polluted water and drought in some instances. We have white-collar crime, is fraud and corruption that affects every state institution. Of course, we have mitigating, interventions around that. The threat to critical water assets is because of encroachment by vandalism, illegal mining. Just over a month ago, we had our employees' life threatened when they were partially kidnapped by illegal miners, and thanks to the Premier of Gauteng, he sent in the special forces to rescue our team there. Of course, the issue of employee health and wellness, which includes safety and security of our personnel. We know that we lost one of our executives. And in the water sector, Honorable Minister, we seem to be losing personnel almost every month. And that's a worry. It's not only affecting Randwater, but it's a general problem. We also suffer as Randwater from what I refer to as smear campaign, because in most instances, municipalities don't want to own their problems. They don't want to own their challenges. They will always say, even if the fault is in a resident's house, they will say the failures is because of Randwater. And they use their political leaders to put pressure on Randwater. So that's the risk that we have. Therefore, it also causes the reputational risk and damage to our institution. So I just thought I should just highlight that 4. And if you can go to the slide that shows the strategic goals of Randwater. These strategic goals are intended to mitigate against some of the identified risks, if not all. We have then decided as a board that in our term of office, we will pursue alternative water sources so that we reduce dependency on Lesotho water. Secondly, we're also looking at alternative power sources to ensure stability in the supply of water, because if we lose power, it may take us about 8 the affected infrastructure at that point in time. We also, the board, took a resolution
Chairperson, I think you've got a signal problem. Could you maybe just put off your camera then?
I don't know when did I lose connection.
When you're taking alternative supply.
Honorable, yeah, I think you can put off your camera as well to save your.
Thank you, Chair. The alternative supply of water and alternative supply of power is because of the challenge that I indicated earlier on. We also looked at the issue of sustainability of Randwater. Randwater is 121 years old this year, and we want it to live for more than another 121 years. Therefore, we are concerned about its sustainability, that the CE will do much on how we mitigate against that. The other issue, the 4th area that we focus on as a board in our current term, is to pursue a utility model. We have an institution called Randwater Services that we mothballed some years ago. We have resuscitated that institution It is the same institution that is pursuing alternative revenue streams for rainwater. This includes, but is not limited to, the special purpose vehicle that we are pursuing with Emfuleni local municipality. Can move to the other slide, CE. Okay, the slide that is not here, because the question that was posed by, as the minister clearly articulated what is expected of us. The slide that is not here, Honorable Chair and Honorable Minister and other honorable members, is that the question is, what have we done as rainwater? So I have here with me, which is some information I can share, about 46 meetings that we have had with municipalities, the province, including our ministry and the department throughout Gauteng. I don't count other municipalities outside Gauteng because the issue is about Gauteng. These meetings dealt with the following issues. They dealt with infrastructure, inadequate infrastructure in municipalities. The minister has mentioned that municipalities don't have pumping capacity. They also have inadequate storage capacity. We have also raised the issue with them in terms of the leakages that are the non-revenue water that is increasing in municipalities, which leads to what the CE will refer to surplus demand or phantom demand, because that demand is not a proper demand because we lose 49% of the water. We've also raised with municipalities the issue of payment of rainwater. All these issues, and we have also offered municipalities, how can we help you? That is why we are now going into an SPV with Emfuleni. So in a nutshell, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Minister, we have met municipalities over 46 times. I'm actually excluding Emfuleni because we meet Emfuleni almost every week, myself and the mayor, to deal with Emfuleni challenges, in particular as we move towards launching the SPV with Emfuleni. But just to indicate how involved we are with Gauteng, we had an imbizo, water imbizo in Gauteng a few weeks ago, which was coordinated by the Honorable Premier. We also have an IGR meeting, intergovernmental relations meeting, every week on a Wednesday. The coming Wednesday, this Wednesday, tomorrow, we'll be presenting a dashboard to that structure on how do we expect them to report and show progress on the challenges of water and sanitation in the province. That's how involved we are. In the last 2 weeks, we have seen myself and the MEC and the executive led by the group chief executive. We have met with all municipalities in Gauteng to really deal with these issues. Some of those meetings the minister have referred to, some of them were led by the minister and the deputy minister. Tomorrow and Thursday, we are meeting. We have been invited also to participate in Gauteng Municipal Turnaround Strategy, which will be addressed by the Premier, the MEC, and all municipalities of Gauteng are there. So in a nutshell, Honorable Chair, we are not sitting and pointing fingers at municipalities. We go beyond our responsibility as a bulk water service provider and engage municipalities. We have offered many of them to consider contracting us in a special purpose vehicle or in whichever way to assist them with their water challenges. With that, if you allow me, I know we don't have much time left. I will request the Group Chief Executive Officer to take us through his presentation. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. CE.
Thank you. Mr. Masai, you can continue.
Yes, good evening, Chair and honorable members, all protocol observed. I hope you can see me from your end. And the presentation is showing. In the next 30 minutes that is left, Chair, I would quickly cover the roles and responsibility in terms of the water supply value chain. I think accountability also goes with roles and responsibilities. Then I will talk about very quickly our operations, infrastructure, and capacity, because certainly we have been requested in terms of the mandate to talk about our plans going forward, our current infrastructure upgrades, and so forth. That will be intertwined with how we run the business. And then the last part, as articulated by the Chair, the Honorable Minister, really talk about Gauteng water supply challenges and the solutions, as Minister has articulated, that have been put on the table.
Chair.
Yes.
Apologies, CE. It's Deputy Minister Sitolo speaking. May I kindly request that the CE also then turns off his video. We see him is there, just so that we are able to follow accordingly. There is a break in his line as he speaks, so perhaps also just as advisable to turn off the video.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Minister. We will do that in future. Thank you. You can
Thank you,
continue.
Thank you, DM. I hope now I'm audible. Just in terms quickly, insofar as roles and responsibility, few slides. Of course, it all begins with the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, which really provides a framework for water law in terms of roles and responsibility, the rights and duties of citizens, but most importantly, it defines the structures of government in terms of those roles and responsibilities. Right at the bottom there, we all know that our Constitution provides for everyone having access to water. It says in the Constitution, therefore, there's a need to ensure access to sufficient water for all, but it also protects and provides and protects us as citizens in terms of environment that is not harmful. It also needs for us to protect the actual environment. But most importantly, in the Constitution, it already provides for the National Department of Water and Sanitation as the custodian of all the resources and the need to protect it. And then, of course, in the Constitution, it says municipalities are responsible for water services. To give the Constitution effect, we have National Water Act that really talks about the sustainable management of water resources and the responsibility of the department to protect the environment, but also ensure access to that water. Most importantly, to the point that the minister has made, to protect the environment and ensure sustainable water supply, the department issues license to institutions like ours, rainwater. In other words, we cannot abstract willy-nilly as much as we want. It has to be regulated to protect the environment, but also ensure sustainable water supply for now and the future. So to the left, you see the department in terms of the Water Services Act provides policies and regulations and governs all of us in terms of how we interface with water, as water is provided to the municipalities or communities through the municipalities. As rainwater, in terms of the Water Services Act, we are a water services provider. We buy water from the department and then we sell it to the authorities whose responsibility is to ensure water services is provided in their jurisdiction. To that effect, we also have the Local Government Municipal Systems Act, which provides for the municipalities to ensure service delivery, policy, capacity building, and so forth. But to rainwater, also very quickly, dealing with the first question, as the minister has indicated in this slide, I just superimpose the numbers. The water license that we have currently is sitting at 1,347 million cubic meters per annum. As it is, Chairperson and honorable members, rainwater is over abstracting at 1,800 million cubic meters per annum. The Department of Water and Sanitation has given us a temporary license to abstract at this level. But in that license is very clear that the department wants us to come to a figure of 1,600 million cubic meters per annum. In other words, if anything, we should be talking about reduction of the water that we're already abstracting from the Vaal Dam, which is part of the integrated Vaal River system. As at this week, I received correspondence from our DG, Director General, Dr. Sean Phillips, who has indicated that between 2024, 2028 in that letter, we will only be allowed to abstract 1,600 million cubic meters for reasons that have been explained by the minister, because of the delay in Lesotho Highlands water project, and secondly, because of climate change, we can't empty the dams. So the communication is that we need to be moving from 1,800 now to 1,600 by September next year. Because the current license is sitting at 1,347. Beyond that, 2028 and 2032, when Lesotho Highlands comes into effect, we should only be taking 1,840 million cubic meters per annum. DG, I'm already from time to time exceeding this number. So I think the situation for us here in Gauteng really calls for collective leadership to work long and hard to implement water conservation and demand management measures to bring this number down to 1,600. So effectively, honorable members, there's just no more water than what I can give to the municipalities in Gauteng. We have reached the limit of the temporary license. We are over abstracting. So we are left with no option but to implement water conservation and demand management measures like other metros in South Africa, like other cities around the world. So after we receive that water, we distribute it to 18 municipalities, in fact 17 municipalities with 18 million people in our area of operation. We have a network of 3,500 kilometers of large diameter pipes. So in essence, after we purify, we pump the water from our purification works and our booster station, and we feed into these reservoirs. From there, the municipalities then distribute in terms of their legislative mandate. On average, we supply about 4,500 million liters of water a day. But what we have seen, which is a worrying trend, that even in winter, we're still pushing peak demands. In winter, generally, we're supposed to see a drop in demand to that figure. But if you really look, and I have a slide later on, time permitting, I'll show those numbers. We seem to be seeing these numbers really increasing on a daily basis. So as we speak, we are doing 5,200 megaliters of water a day. We supply water to Gauteng. The whole of Gauteng municipalities get water from us, parts of Northwest and Mpumalanga, and a little bit of Free State. In here is our supply system. After we purified water, we send water to as far as Mpumalanga through the Mapleton system and Pretoria East and the whole of Ekurhuleni. But to the west, we have Eikenhof system, takes water all the way to Rustenburg. But really, the three metros are dependent on Swartkopies system and Palmit system that boost water all the way to the northern parts of Tshwane. So in essence, we get water from the Vaal Dam, we purify it in Vereeniging at our 2 purification works, and then we distribute it accordingly. In this slide here, I more or less demonstrated the same, but what is important with these is that I'm pictorially demonstrating our water supply pipelines. What you will notice here, these lines are intertwined and interconnected. On a daily basis, our operators, and now we have involved the municipalities that fit with us on a daily basis to look at the demand, to plan for the demand, and the connectivity between the lines helps us to load shift, which is necessarily something that we've been doing for years. In fact, for over 100 years, where we move water from other area and the other way around, depending on the demand. So we build our infrastructure in those lines. Most of the water goes to the 3 metros. So if we talk about daily meetings, we're talking about these 3 metros because 80% goes there. Mfuleni is the 4th biggest customer, followed by Rustenburg, Mogale City, and the likes. So when we talk interventions in the main to quickly assist the situation in Gauteng in terms of the challenges that have been highlighted by the Honorable Minister, we're talking about water conservation and demand management measures implementation in the 3 metros. The next slide, then the next few slides talk about our plans insofar as our infrastructure development is concerned. What we have in Renault is what we call infrastructure development plan. The infrastructure development plan is informed by our asset lifecycle management program that dictates technically when do we construct and build new infrastructure, when do we operate, when do we maintain and repair, and continuously plan for the next phase. We use Maximo, which is our maintenance program, to determine when do we do maintenance. And we look on a yearly basis. We plan with our municipalities. They give us the demand for water, not in the next year, but in the outer years. We're talking about 20-year planning horizon. And then we start working it backwards. Our program of infrastructure development is looked at on a 5-yearly basis, and then on an annual basis, it's implemented. So the current infrastructure that we are rolling is not what we have conceived now, but we have conceived sometimes 20 years ago. To make an example, the new purification works that we have just built in Vereeniging now, we planned and conceived it in 2009. To that effect, to demonstrate that we are adding additional infrastructure, I will not be able to go through all the projects. Just to pull out a few, we built the biggest post-tension pre-stressed concrete reservoir in the world in Vlakfontein, and it was launched it launched in 2024. It was a design marvel. In fact, it won an international award called the Fulton Award that recognizes the infrastructure of the scale and shape of this Vlakfontein reservoir here in South Africa. It's a post-tension concrete reservoir. It's a circular reservoir, the biggest in the world at 210 megaliter storage at the cost of just under 500 million. Started during COVID time and completed in 2023. But I'm happy to also indicate that in terms of our infrastructure development plan, we have built the biggest purification works south of Equator since 1994 in rainwater. Zekerbosch water treatment works launched in 2023. We are already taking delivery of over 100 megaliters of water a day. What we're going to do is to finish off the remainder of this plant. By this time next year, we have been adding 450 megaliters of water a day. This would have been the demand for water for 2030. But as you now know, that because of superfluous demand, we have to supply this water for now. So I need to indicate that we are building, we are augmenting the infrastructure, not only in the purification, but in terms of the reservoir, mentioning Vlakfontein as one of them. In the last 5 years or so, we have added 600 kilometers of large diameter pipes in the system, as we also upgrade our booster stations. Chair, it is important that the Honorable Committee makes time, find time, so that it's not only pictorial. You see these plants, you see the investments, you touch them. As the COO says, you smell the concrete inside. Huge infrastructure at the cost of about 5 billion, and it's going to be augmenting the system. In this slide, I'm not going to talk about it at length. What I'm showing is that over and above that 600 megaliters of water that we are adding, and we have added 200 in Vereeniging. We are building additional capacity in Mapleton at 200 megaliters pumping capacity, Palmit 400, Swarkopis 200, and Aikenhof, we are not building anything because we are not seeing an increase in demand beyond what we can pump at this point in time. In this slide, I also showcase other reservoirs that we are planning to build beyond 2028. So here you'll see Mapleton, where the CASA is moving, has been completed, but we have other reservoirs, including in Meredale system, Daleside, Kleprivers, Klefontein, that we're adding into the system. Despite the fact that we understand there's a superfluous demand, but it is important to continuously upgrade and add additional capacity going forward. We have the rolling 5-year capital program, and this 5-year capital program, by and large, we are a pipeline business. You build purification works at an odd 20 years from time to time, but because of the demand on a yearly constant basis, you build more pipelines as we distribute water, as we connect the pipelines, as we build redundancy. Our capex for the next 5 years, as I say, it changes year on year. It's sitting currently at around 28 billion. And if you look at it in the last few years, it will move from 20 to 40 billion, depending on the demand and depending on how we are checking the ups and downs in that regard, as and when the municipalities advise us. Sometimes their projects are delayed, and we want to build our infrastructure so that we deliver it just in time. Beyond the augmentation in terms of adding the new infrastructure, you will see we have what we call renewal strategy to replace and rehabilitate the current infrastructure. So over and above augmentation, you need to look at the economic life of an asset and expand it. You need to look at the physical condition assessment of that asset and renew it so that it lasts the lifetime of that asset. But sometimes, if you keep doing that, the asset lasts you longer than its life span. So we do have those programs. We do have the large capital works that are related to renewal over and above the upgrade. On the right of this slide, I also indicate the pumping at Mapleton, and this project, time permitting, when you come here, you will need to go on site and see it to assist us to boost water to Pretoria East and Mpumalanga as we renew 06 line, bulk pipe refurbishment, and the others. What you also do as part of the maintenance, when we take the infrastructure out, we go inside the reservoirs, we check the integrity, and as part of our refurbishment, we also include that works in that space. What is also important is that there's a renewable and augmentation mix as we do this, insofar as all the civil, mechanical, electrical process and automation infrastructure. This ensures that we provide adequate water to municipality to meet not only the current, but the future needs. So we're talking augmentation, we're talking renewal, but we're also talking maintenance. You would have noticed, Chair and honorable members, that between June and July, we went through serious maintenance program. Assets have to be replaced, maintained rather, over and above being replaced. So maintenance takes place, whether you like it or not. That maintenance, if you do not schedule it and plan it, it will take place by breakdowns. Breakdowns are expensive. One, when it breaks down, it takes the infrastructure out for a long time. Two, you have to look for parts and replace them. You don't plan, you don't negotiate price. It's expensive. Three, the inconvenience because it takes long. Four, the system takes time to recover. So it is important that we are allowed from time to time to get into this understanding that maintenance is extremely important to avoid breakdowns and failures. So we really request the support from time to time when we effect maintenance programs. But I thought we should also talk about something that is not talked about, that in terms of rainwater, as world-class public utility that is looked at alongside other utilities in the world. Just this year, we were shortlisted and nominated as one of the top 4 utilities in the world, alongside the utility in the Emirates, UAE, and New York City Department. So we are the recognized well over as one of the global water utility. But most importantly, the question is always about infrastructure to add water, which is fine. But what is important also is the quality of water. We pride ourselves with a quality that is not only compliant with SANS 241 in South Africa in terms of the standards, but we check our water in terms of World Health Organization standards. We also check our water with Environmental Protection Agency of the United States, but we also check our water against the European Union standards. There's no law that says we must do this, but we do so because it gives us a competitive advantage. Very quickly, I thought we should also talk about, despite all the challenges, but if we look at our finances, and very few people talk about them, despite all the challenges, despite all the global hardships that everybody's going and going through, we have been maintaining our key performance indicators and ratios insofar as our finances at all material times looking green and facing upward. We keep our gross profit at about 30%, net profit at about 20%. And then we are mindful of the need to diversify our product offering. To that extent, we have been able to diversify our product offering, and not to an extent that we would want, but the secondary activities show us we are going in the right direction. But Chair, very quickly, some of the slides I thought I should add is we also, as the Chair is saying, we're providing support to our municipalities. And one of those interventions is in Mfuleni, where the minister has intervened through Section 63. We have built a new purification works in that space. We have refurbished pump stations in that space. What you are seeing here is the work that we have done in Midvaal local municipalities at their Rodin pump station, refurbished and delivered in time with regards to our interventions in that space as funded by the Department of Water and Sanitation. We have refurbished some of the pump stations. We have removed sewer out of the people's homes. We have refurbished one of the water treatment plant is compliant. We have gone into various plants. We have effected a lot of mechanical changes. And in fact, if you go to Sebokeng, Rietspruit, and Midvaal, Meerton wastewater treatment works, you will see some of the refurbishment that we have done in there. We have also attended major leaks But what we have done, we also capacitated the municipalities and given them resources in terms of their vehicles, in terms of the container vehicles to fix the leaks there, to fix the blockages, and giving them also the material and plumbing tools and spares. A lot of training that is also taking place in there. We're currently rehabilitating the collapsed lines. And I'm sure at an appropriate time, when the committee has got time, we'll go in there. We're also happy working with municipalities, specifically on the matters before us, to install pressure-reducing valves so that they reduce the dependency on water, so that they fix the leaks and reduce the non-revenue water. But we're also supporting the municipality is implementing agents to remove the water hyacinth that is currently in the Val barrage, and we are starting to see an improvement. On the left, it's the infestation. We are seeing now, as at June, we have done a great deal of work in dealing with the problem of water hyacinth in there. I'm mentioning all that to indicate, as the chair is saying, with living examples of the support that we're giving our municipalities. And beyond that, we have proposed new models. The chair has talked about what you call the special purpose vehicle to also get into the spaces where we were not necessarily participating and deal with those issues. The Gauteng water supply, as the minister has indicated, challenges that we're currently experiencing are related to high water consumption. And the no-drop report is very clear. The National Water Resources Strategy of 2002, the first one, after the National Water Act, indicated this problem. But of course, in Gauteng, there's not been the response in terms of fixing the leaks, reducing the non-revenue water from close to 50% in Gauteng to a number that is acceptable in terms of the world standards. So here in Gauteng, the non-revenue water is close to 50%, but you'll see in Cape Town or Western Cape specifically, the non-revenue water is sitting just close to 28%. We are not comparing municipalities, but what we are trying to demonstrate here quickly, Chair, is that it's doable. If the people of the Western Cape can go about 164 liters per person per day, so can we here in Gauteng. 280 liters per person per day is way too much. Big cities in Belgium are going with 60 liters per person per day. Singapore, 100 liters per person per day. So we can. So what we do also, so that we are transparent and the municipalities can see what are we talking about. On a weekly basis, we show this graph. We go to their meters to say, guys, in terms of the license that the department says we must come into, we're supposed to be sitting at the red line. This is where Gauteng municipalities are sitting. We do so with each and every municipalities. Allow me to spend a little bit of time on this slide because this slide is often misunderstood. What we do, we pump water into the reservoir at 5,000 megaliters a day. So basic science and physics will tell you, if you pump into a reservoir at 5,000, but the abstraction from our reservoir is more than that, you're going to reduce the water that is in the dams. So what we have proposed to municipalities is that do not take more than 5,000 that we put into the system, or 5,200, so that we have about 60% in the storage. And that is not for Renwater's benefit, it's for the municipality's benefit. Because as the minister is saying, some of them don't have reservoirs. They rely on our head. So when we show them this graph, we are not saying there's something wrong with rainwater. We are saying, look at the reservoirs where they say, if you continue to abstract, we will not have head for you, and your high-lying areas will be without water. This is by no means, as it has been misinterpreted, failure of any infrastructure in rainwater. We are trying to encourage the municipalities to take less so that we build water in the reservoir for them. And why are we building the water in the reservoir for them, their water, so that high-lying areas will benefit from the head in those reservoirs. The minister talked about this challenge. It's affecting water supply in Gauteng. There are areas where even technical guys cannot go. It becomes a problem. The chair talks about servitudes that are affecting water supply in this area. The fourth challenge is around illegal mining. They're just taking water, and chair explained this thing in detail. But the biggest challenge is the more you give the municipalities, which is this line, is showing is that we are seeing also that is having an impact on us because you're giving them more water, the water is lost, and they're not paying. Our debtors days has actually gone the wrong way as a result. You'll see 2014 we had 35, and now we are at 100 and 100 plus, and that has also increased our expected credit loss going forward. So we have about 3.5 billion that we cannot recognize in our balance sheet. So it is in the best interest of the municipalities financially to also fix the leaks, because if they ask more, we pressurize the system, the leaks become more, and then they struggle to pay for that. We have also put measures in place in terms of debt relief packages to assist the municipalities to that effect. And for that matter, we have also been to National Treasury, made a lot of proposals in terms of withholding equitable share. We have met with the Minister of COCTA, we have met with the MECs, and as the chair is saying, we now have an IGR program that is there to assist us to deal with these challenges. But for us, it is important that we get paid on time, because the Auditor General has highlighted this matter of non-payment as a matter of emphasis going forward. The rating agencies have highlighted this. We borrow money from Johannesburg Security Exchange, where Johannesburg Security Exchange debt listed, and we get long-term liabilities from the debt capital market for our long-term assets. If we are viewed differently, we will not be able to do that. And the very same infrastructure that we expected to build will not be able to build because we don't get money anywhere. What is also disheartening is that when we follow our IGR process to recover our funds, most often we are ignored completely, to a point where we are forced to go to Paja and communicate to the communities that your municipality is not paying us. And one of those is Mirafo. The situation is so bad that they take 70 megaliters of water a day. They're supposed to pay us 40 million per annum, 45. And as at the last month, we have not been paid a cent. We cannot afford to do that. So we went to the IGR, we made two key prayers: pay rainwater on time and reduce your consumption. To that effect, as I conclude, the integrated IGR governance relations framework that has been established by the Premier has taken resolutions to say they will declare war on water losses, and all municipalities must impose restrictions, stop irrigating public places, remove all the illegal connections, address aging infrastructure, pay their current account to rainwater, start the awareness campaign, and establish a single call center in Gauteng where leaks will be reported. Thank you, Chair. I overshot our time by 3 minutes. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How we will continue now with the meeting is that I will request each member of Parliament in the committee that would like to ask questions that we restrict ourselves to 3 questions now. We will come around for a second round. So the member will ask the questions, the 3 questions. If they want to ask the 3 questions, you will immediately answer those questions, and then we will go to the next round of questions by the members. Can I get hands of members that would like to ask questions? Honorable Matlala, you are the first to ask your 3 questions. I really plead with you, just stick with the 3 questions. I will allow you a second round of questions as in the past. Honorable Matlala, you're more than welcome to ask your 3 questions.
No, thanks so much, Chairperson. Let me take an opportunity and greet officials from Rand Water, the leadership of the minister and the team, and also members of parliament. Chairperson, you said I must ask only 3 questions. As long as you are going to give us an opportunity to speak once more, we don't have a problem with that. So my question is, I heard you, Mr. The CEO of Rand Water, trying to explain a situation of reservoir. I've got a straight question that I want to ask you. Of the Brakpan reservoir crisis that is persisting, leaving high-lying areas in Ekurhuleni, particularly vulnerable communities in Etwatwa and Tsakani, without reliable water supply. I heard you responding, but I want to ask specifically on this one. Ekurhuleni has an average of 29% non-revenue water rate, the lowest in the province, because according to the information or the statistics, the information we got, other municipalities are having more than that in terms of non-revenue water rate. And the city was also proactive in construction of that new reservoir, and they are failing to install, and your rainwater is failing to install the promised pipeline by 2025. Is according by 2025 that pipeline must be there. So at the moment it's still in the planning stage. So we are having a concern with that. How do you justify this blatant neglect of your core mandate, especially when Ekurhuleni consistently draws less than what is allocated on water supply? Number 2, Rainwater is speaking about the rampant illegal connections and hostile areas where rainwater can't even access infrastructure. So what concrete steps are you taking to reclaim control of these areas and assets that belongs to the people? Your inaction suggests complicity. The last question is on why has Rand Water allowed demand to spiral so far out of control that you are now extracting 500 million cubic meters more water annually than your original license permits? Is this gross mismanagement not endangering our long-term water security? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister, can we just establish whether you would like to start with the answering of the questions, or should we go over to Rand Water directly?
Thank you very much, Chair. I suggest that you go direct to Rand Water Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The CEO of Rand Water, Honorable Mr. Sipho Musai, could you answer the questions, or some of your officials or your board members?
I will direct the responses, Honorable Chair, if you allow, as a chairperson of the board. I will firstly deal with the issue of why has Rand Water allowed municipalities to the high demand. I think when we made a presentation, we clearly indicated who is responsible for which part of the water value chain. We cannot take responsibility as Rand Water if municipalities don't look after the infrastructure. That is the responsibility of municipalities and their department, which is COGTA. But I think what we said in our presentation is that we have demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that we have had interaction with municipalities on a daily or on a weekly and monthly basis. We even meet with municipalities. The issue of high demand is not an issue that is new. In my presentation, we started engaging municipalities long time ago. There's actually been a program where we agreed with municipalities to only get 1,600 to leave the demand at 1,600. But if the demand is high on their side, this is their responsibility. All we can do is to assist where we can manage them. I think it's too harsh for the honorable member to then say that Randwater, that was cross mismanagement from Randwater. We don't manage municipal infrastructure. The law is very clear on our responsibilities in the whole value chain. So municipalities must take responsibility for their own infrastructure, and we take responsibility for our own infrastructure. We have also demonstrated the extent to which we are building and refurbishing our infrastructure, and that cannot be disputed. We are doing that, but you cannot say the same about municipalities. So it is a pity that municipalities and COGTA are not invited here to answer for us, for themselves. We cannot answer for municipalities. All we can do as a state organ or an organ of state is to try to assist municipalities where we can. But we also have legal, regulatory, and operational limitations that we can do. And we cannot therefore be judged on the same line as municipalities to say that we charged with cross mismanagement. We are not mismanaging our infrastructure. Municipalities are mismanaging their infrastructure, and that question should actually be posed to municipalities and COGTA, not to Randwater. CE, you can proceed and respond to other questions.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to just give some little bit of details on the Brakpan reservoirs. Those reservoirs, that specific reservoir are obviously in Ekurhuleni. In essence, what Ekurhuleni wants, is that they want us to give them more water. And as you rightfully say, we have been obstructing, and the department has been kind enough to allow us to obstruct at the level. It's not gross mismanagement. When Ekurhuleni, the second biggest municipality, requested us to give them more water, we approached the department and say, the municipalities, they need more water, amongst the others to fill the Brakpan reservoirs, amongst the others to fill other reservoirs, so that they have more water than they are now, in the absence of additional infrastructure in that space. They gave us that license. So we have a temporary license. So in essence, we have no more water to give Ekurhuleni. We have no more water to provide any municipality with water, because we have reached that limit. Yes, we have not allowed, they made an application, and then we approached the department. So what is Ekurhuleni unhappy about is that we are not able to give them more water. Ekurhuleni posture and position, as you rightfully indicate, reading out that question, is that 29% non-revenue water is still high. It's not something to be celebrated. They are saying we must take water from other municipalities and give it to them because the non-revenue water is lower of the many. We have said, let us go to the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Forum, and then you present to your fellow municipalities the fact that you want more water and we should take it from them. And this is the dichotomy we have. They want more water. We cannot obstruct more water in the catchment to give Brakpan Reservoir. So on a daily basis, what we do with all the metros, and I think Ekurhuleni must also tell you that the other metros, what they do, and Tshwane being one of them, they close their system at night. They give us the reservoirs to restrict so that we can build pressure to supply Brakpan and those areas. So they are playing their role to assist Ekurhuleni as we operate the system for them to get water. There we do not have any more water to give to Ekurhuleni. So the other question that you ask is a direct question around the 2025 pipe. Ma'am, could I recommend that they also share with you an independently produced technical report signed by the professional engineer that has said to Rainwater, you cannot build an R6 pipeline to take water to Etwatwa. Somewhere along the line, Ekurhuleni needs to build a pump station to boost that water to go to Etwatwa. An R6 line from Vlakfontein cannot take water to Etwatwa because it's a gravity line. Etwatwa is a high-lying area. An independently produced report said they must do that. It says you must also refurbish 2 of your additional reservoir. It is in the report. We went to Ekurhuleni, we shared it. We are waiting for them to come back to us. Because from my end as an accounting officer of the Department of the Rainwater, I cannot build an infrastructure. I cannot build a line that takes water nowhere. It's immaterial irregularity, particularly if a professional engineer has advised you accordingly. So we have had engagements with Ekurhuleni. We went to them last week or so. We presented this report to them and we are waiting their feedback. What we will do as soon as they tell us when they are building the pump stations and the reservoirs, we have in our votes planned for this line. We will start the process of laying that line in line and in sync with the building of the pump stations and commensurate reservoirs. We are more than happy to engage with you in their presence in terms of the issues that are in there. We also please request them at the highest level to attend daily meetings that are chaired by the COO. On the daily meetings, we balance the system. We make sure that the water that we are now abstracting at the limit is distributed. The issue of filling of their reservoirs can only be discussed on the daily meeting, on the daily basis at 8 o'clock sharp. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. There was still another question, the illegal connections and how will you take control of this situation?
Oh, thank you, Chair. In fact, Memhlala, that is a problem of Ekurhuleni. Ekurhulenis are the ones that told us when we asked them, where are you having most of the leaks? They say we have hostels. And we can check this with the speaker. We have hostels. Those hostels are no-go areas. We can't go in there and fix the leaks. So that slide that I talked about, it's a slide that we computed on our daily meetings when we speak to the municipalities, trying to understand where the challenges are. Ekurhuleni pointed that to us. When we had the Minister of Kokta during the presidential imbizo, the Speaker of Ekurhuleni presented this before the Minister of Kokta to request assistance. So that rampartness is not in Rainwater side. The illegal connections are happening mostly in municipalities. And we have seen in Tshwane, when they started walking their lines, the distribution lines, finding the illegal connection, it has assisted them greatly. They were able to reduce the non-revenue water and they turned around their finances quickly. That is why in the last few months, when we closed our financial year, Tshwane is the only municipalities that paid their bill, all of it. Is because they're dealing with this. So that question, as the chair say, actually should be addressed to Ekurhuleni to say, why are they doing with these hostile areas where they can't access them? and perhaps the issues around complicitness, it also be leveled before them. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Honorable Masai, can I maybe just have a follow-up question on the illegal connection? Are you saying to the committee that you don't have on your own pipelines illegal connections? If I can maybe get that clarified, because I also understood that in the report, the first report, that you have a no-go area in
Yes.
some instances where you put your pipelines. And can you maybe just say what is the effect, if you have, or how many water do you lose concerning that? Thank you.
Yes, Chair. I think we have serious encroachments in our lines. Those encroachments are largely in municipalities in relation to informal settlements. I rushed through the presentation. I wanted to show you videos. For example, one of our biggest challenge is informal settlement called Makause in Ekurhuleni. So that informal settlement, as it encroaches our lines, is affecting Ekurhuleni. As part of the engagement, we have gone to them and say the informal settlements in this place is affecting us. They promised us to relocate that. What we're also doing in those pipes like this, we're trying to build new pipes at more expense to divert that line. So we do have a lot of encroachment of our lines, but it's mostly in informal settlements in municipalities. But also, as I indicated, illegal mining, we have, fortunately, we are on top of it. We are managing the pressures consistently. But I need to raise a concern around illegal mining. We have tabled it before the IGR forum. The Premier has also indicated that they will assist us. But we do not have, if like, encroachment in terms of the hostels and beyond that. We do have encroachment from formal areas as well, but those encroachment are not necessarily tapping on the water. So I think, fortunately, from the bulk lines, we are spared because it's highly pressurized. So we do not have a big issue of illegal connection, but mainly encroachment. And from time to time, it does inconvenience, they break into the valves. So, Chair, I think I will also put it out that we do have challenges. We need to be assisted. So it happens in the entire value chain, but mostly what we are seeing is that because of the low pressure, it takes place in the distribution lines in the mains. That's where the bulk challenges are, and that certainly assists in the long run. But yes, you are right. We do have encroachment.
Thank you very much. Honorable Moore, your questions, 3 questions, please.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you very much to the Minister and particularly to Rand Water for the in-detail presentation. I think it provides a really good scope for the challenge that we're facing, and particularly the problems with the municipalities. Chair, I should say I have 20 questions, so I'm only going to ask the 3 that you've asked, but obviously it's a challenge just to the timing that we're dealing with, because there's a lot of information that we need, and I think it's critical because of exactly what and I know other members are going to have lots of questions, but I think the reality is there's often I think I'm quoting from the presentation, a smear campaign against Rand Water, and the only way we can clear that smear campaign is through transparency and getting information. But my 3 questions very quickly is to start off with, can I ask the Rand Water, what is your sustainable daily supply capacity of Rand Water in megaliters that ensures reservoir storage is maintained to cover potential outages? And I'm asking, what is this figure based on intended operational capacity, allowing for regular maintenance, rather than the peak production levels you're currently having to maintain to try and keep the water in taps? The second question is, Rand Water has indicated that the current demand exceeds supply. Do you have any estimate on the total current water demand from all municipalities? And obviously that should include not just the amount you are currently able to supply, but also the total amount required to fully meet municipal needs, including and factoring in the current high levels of non-revenue water. And finally, the third question for this round is, can you give us some information on your current loss statistics for Rand Water's network? So the megalitres lost per day, non-revenue losses versus technical losses. And also, is there any particular part of your network that's worse affected than others? Or is it generally geographically across the entire network shared? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Rand Water.
You can proceed, CE.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Moore asked a lot of questions very fast. I think the non-revenue water of Rand Water is sitting at about 4%. That is the target that has been set by the department. So its acidity is between 4 and 5%. On average, our pumping capacity, it's about 4,500. And the maximum that we can put into a system as we peak is about 5,200. So in effect, the maximum and the best that we can put at any time, which is now, as I indicated, we are really averaging at around that number. So before you would draw a graph during low demand and say 4,005, but if you were to take the last 6 months, I think those are the numbers that you're talking about. And then the question of filling the reservoirs, as I tried to explain, the way we design the reservoirs and the rate at which we are filling them is the rate at which abstraction takes place. So if you would start by not taking water, 4,500 fills the reservoirs to the prompt. And if you consistently take less than that amount, as we put 4,500 average or 5,000 as we peak, you will still have those levels. So how much do we need to pump to fill the reservoirs? The answer is how much is taken at a given time. I think perhaps because you spoke very quickly, if you could write some of the questions down and send them to us, we'll be able to respond to them if I did not answer the other questions. And Mr. Moore, the information that we give, we share on a weekly basis. We put it on our website. This is water consumption per meter averaged over a week. I know people want to have access to the reservoirs, but you need to understand that. You'll appreciate that the reservoirs are weaponized against us. So in other words, if I say it to you, Stompiesfontein is 50% full and Klip-Riversberg is 10% full, it means nothing. Because what you're going to say, because the reservoir is 10% full, you say Rand Water has got a problem. We do not have a problem. Klip-Riversberg is 650 megaliter storage. Stompiesfontein is 10 megaliter storage. The reservoirs numbers are moving on a minute-by-minute basis. That is why we manage them exactly like that. So what we do on a daily basis, every morning, we sit with the municipalities. We said, this is what we have gained overnight, because overnight the demand drops. Then which reservoir has filled in, which reservoir is running low? And then when and how do we balance the system? So it is a live system that we are operating on a minute-by-minute basis. As we speak now, there are operators that are sitting there. So if you're going to ask reservoir at a point in time and want to formulate a position, it will be misplaced. The numbers will mislead you. You need to sit down with the operators and understand. Some reservoir feed into other reservoir. Some of them, we keep them low for a reason.
because we watch the subsequent one, and if it's full, we keep this one low, and then you move water around like that. I have had people complaining, phoning me and said, I'm watching the reservoir, my reservoir is low. We're going to have a crisis. There's a water crisis. There's no water crisis. When your reservoir is low, it depends on the volumes, it depends on the quantities, it depends on the demand for that area. But certainly, at any given time, for anybody that is interested to sit with us, genuinely wanting to understand the system, genuinely want to assist us to communicate, to avoid the smear campaign, we are more than willing to do so. That is why we sit with our municipalities on a daily basis. There is no point that anybody in the municipality should go anywhere and request levels of water. We sit with them, we discuss with them, we make decisions. So an area and a system can have a low levels because we are managing higher levels in one areas, we are moving water around. A snapshot of reservoir in isolation, it does not help anybody to understand how the system works. The systems are intertwined, the reservoirs are related.
Thank you. Have you concluded?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can I quickly just ask on the capacity, the 4,500 megaliters? I then presume that is the average that you would like to run, and on that average, you won't have clog-ups of your filters. As soon as you exceed that, going into the 5,000s, you start to create problems with your sand filters going through. If you can maybe just give me that explanation. And then
yes,
you have mentioned a few times that you are sitting with all these municipalities every day. Are there culprits that's not attending these meetings on a daily basis? And who are they if that is the case? Thank you.
Yes, Chair. I think we do sit with all of them, but we really would like to have senior people at the COO level attending. It certainly assists. So I think the 3 metros are attending, but we need also decision makers in that, particularly as Memhlala indicated from Ekurhuleni, because they are having concerns with certain reservoirs. Yes, Chair, I think you're making a good point, and then I'm making an omission by not mentioning it. When you run at 4,500, it actually gives us the ability to do maintenance, to also backwash our filters, and attend to operational issues in the plant. The high demand at 5,200, it creates problems exactly that. So if you go, for example, in Zekerbosch, we are running all these plants all the time, and you are pushing too much water. Then if you're pushing too much water, you're clogging the system quicker. It forces you, particularly as you mentioned, the filter house are quite critical. So you'll have from time to time, the executive manager of Zekerbosch calling the CEO and say, Chief, we are pushing this system hard. I have to do backwashes. For example, also in Vereeniging, one of the reasons that we had to have a major shutdown, because we are pushing Vereeniging maximum 1,200 on a daily basis. The filter house of Anil, who's the station manager in there, was starting to silt. When a filter house silt, it means you are also purifying less. So the maintenance program, one of the reasons why it was extensive, because we really had to take the filter house out, de-silt it, and make sure that when we come to high demand seasons like this, we are consistently at max. But it is unhealthy to run the system at max all the time. And why are we doing it? We are doing it now because it's high demand. In winter time, instead of municipalities wanting more water and keeping the reservoirs at high level at all times, this is the time that we would like to be given to reduce that, to do the maintenance work. Even when we did the maintenance between June and July, people were saying, no, don't do maintenance because I want my reservoirs high. So what we are advising is the minister is saying, build more reservoirs, store more water, add additional reservoirs. When you go to them, they say we are building reservoirs, but they're not sufficient. Because if they were sufficient, every single time we have a small power dip, we have outage, you wouldn't be complaining. So if we have an outage in Mapleton, Aikenhof, in terms of electricity, as the chair is indicating, that we are supplied by the municipalities, the systems have a problem. People start complaining immediately. So yes, Chair, you're right. If we can operate the system at about 4,600 at an average, we'll not have a problem. We also don't mind that in high peak demands, we push the system so that in summer, we meet those summer, because we understand there are a lot of swimming pools in Gauteng and people want not drink water, want to fill their swimming pools and do a lot of gardening. We don't have a problem in the high peak demands to sell that water, because really our business is around generating revenue and selling water. But it's also not sustainable to do that in summer and in winter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Khumalo, your 3 questions.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to apologize for being late. Even the first meeting that we had this morning, I couldn't attend because I was on the road. I'm really sorry about that. Chair, my question is not actually directed to rainwater, but it's directed to the chair. If I remember in our meetings, we took a resolution that we need to invite the department, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department, because we realized that most of the problems that Water and Sanitation Department they're facing is as a result of failure on the side of COGTA to work with Water and Sanitation Department. So I'm just trying to find out from the chair as to when are we going to have this department, the minister from COGTA to come over and answer some of the questions that the committee might have. Because, like, for instance, sorry.
Honorable Member, may I quickly answer you on that?
Okay.
That
right.
meeting would have taken place next week. It's been postponed to the 12th of November. It will be an in-person meeting with COGTA and National Treasury and Water and Sanitation to discuss this problem of the municipalities, as well as the non-payment of water to our water boards. So it is an in-person meeting in the Goodhoe Centre on the 12th of November this year.
Okay. No,
we have finalized that this morning. My apology. We have finalized the change from the 29th. It didn't suit National Treasury. We changed it to the 12th, and everybody has agreed. If that is what you requested me to give you the answer on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wasn't aware that there's been some announcement that was made earlier. So I highly appreciate that, because you see, since I joined this committee, every time Water and Sanitation raises some issues, you'll always realize that there is a role that is being played by COGTA in making sure that things are not run properly from Water and Sanitation. So on my side, I think that is all. All the questions that I have here will be dealt with on that particular day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mashlangu, you would like to ask some questions?
Thanks, Chair, and greetings to the Minister and your good selves and everyone who's in attendance in the meeting. Chair, I think partly I'm covered on some of the questions, but well, there's one question that I want to ask from rainwater, the issue of debts there, the money that rainwater is being owed by municipalities. You see, Chair, how far? I just want to check how far have they gone, because the issue of meetings, of just meetings, to say we had 46 meetings to discuss, I think it's not enough. But also I want to check, why do you continue to supply municipalities with water that are owing you? For an example, if I've gone far, I've been owed by the municipality $1 billion, but I still continue to supply the municipality with water while I've been owed. I want to check, why do we do that? And also, how far have they gone apart from the meetings? Number two, Chair, I want to check on the issue of power failure, because also I'm one of the people that resides in the municipalities that here in Mpumalanga that are supplied by rainwater. But always there will be, for an example, today rainwater has issued a communique where it explains that there will be challenges in supplying some of the reservoirs. And they are citing the problem of power failure. And it's not the first time, it's continuously. But I want to check, why can't we use other means, in particular of generators or in terms of solars or other advanced technologies apart from ESCOM or whatsoever? Because I thought load shedding it has introduced or taught us other new method of generating power. Last question, Chair, that I want to check. Well, I feel also, Chair, we should have had municipalities, in particular from Tswana, so that we can avoid this blame game of saying that there are leakages in their sites or there are illegal connections in their sites. Also, we must question the capacity of the state, that in particular for state entities, there are areas of no-go areas for municipalities. I don't think it's proper. Where are police officers? Where are other state institutions that they can assist in solving that thing? How far have we gone? In particular, when we say there's no go area there, what do? We just leave it like that and say the municipalities, they will see themselves. I don't find it very well. It does not sit very well, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Randwater? Who's taking the questions?
The Group Chief Executive and the CFO will respond.
Thank you. Can I continue?
Yes, Chair. I think what a refreshing view from Honorable Member Matangu. I think you're right, meetings and meetings and meetings for years have not assisted. And I think what has also made us unpopular is because we go beyond that. After we follow the intergovernmental relations framework, we then follow, as I indicated in my presentation, the PAJA provisions, and from PAJA we communicate to the communities out there to say the municipalities has not been paying us, and then we start restricting. As we speak, we have restricted Mirafo. Previously, we have also taken over the account of Mfuleni. And I think what will assist to give effect, in my view, Honorable Member Mahlangu, to get to a point quickly where we act and don't have a situation where then the debtors days run into north of 100 days. We're now sitting with a debtors book of about 7.8 billion, expected credit loss of 2.5 billion. There's 1 billion that we cannot recognize. And then it has weakened our balance sheet to somewhere around 3.5 billion. One of the reasons is that the legislation that we have, the intergovernmental relations framework that we have, it forces us to go through all the stages. And some, they also know that they can't just stop. They can't just restrict. We have to go through these processes. So ideally, we don't want to get to that point. But Dr. Mahlangu, I think you made my day. Why is the legislation allowing water boards to supply water to municipalities that are not paying them? Municipalities that are getting equitable share to pay for the bulk purchases, they get paid all the time, but that money is not passed through. But when we want to effect those measures, then we have a situation where people take us to court, they fight us to no end. And what we have done, we have just killed water boards. We used to have 19 water boards when I came into the industry. There's about 9 left. So what we do, we let those those water boards die the natural death. We then transfer the debt to another water board, and it continues like that. The reality of it is that it takes time to reduce. You have to start reducing by 30%, 50%. We are not allowed by legislation to completely shut the water supply. We have also been taken to court on various instances because technically we are challenged on not following the process to the latter. But that is what we do on our end. And then we have seen all these cases going into the court of law. I think the municipalities in Mpumalanga, in terms of their debtors book, are the most worrying. Governor Mbeki and Victor Kanye. The CFO may come in. I don't have the latest numbers, but they are one of the underperforming municipalities. And as it were, we don't communicate to the consumers, they communicate to the consumers in terms of the challenges. But we do have serious problem with debtors days in that space. At least in Gauteng, we have an IGR forum, and it has not been helpful in many instances to collect this debt. As you say, sir, it's meetings after meetings. And the last one is power. Yes, as the chair is indicating, this is our risk number one. We are working long and hard to get off the grid. If we look at the amount of electricity that we need, our pump station, there's no in the world solar panel that can pump water from all the way to, in Vereeniging to Johannesburg and all the way to Botswana, Mamelodi, far north, and all the way to Gauteng. These areas are far flung. Even the generators that we have, our generators that we have, they will run a pump here and there, but they will not even run a pump station. These are the generators that we couldn't even buy off the shelf. They had to be manufactured for us in Germany, special made, custom made, but still is not sufficient. We are looking, sir, at really going big in this regard. We are currently exploiting the hydropower. We have identified 4 sites. We are working with the export credit agency to see if we can import these turbines. It is part of our growth strategy. And beyond that, we have been in engagement with City Power. We have been in engagement now with Ekurhuleni to see how best we can have ring feeds in this area so that when one line is affected, the other line is not. At this point in time, we are stuck with Eskom and these municipalities, unfortunately, but we have a detailed program that looks at possibilities of getting us completely off the grid in a green way. Yes, I think it's unfortunate that we do have these no-go areas in our end and in the municipal space. To an extent possible, we do have, particularly with illegal miners, we do have the police escorting us in this area. But what we have also observed with the encroachment is that it's very difficult to move informal settlements around. It's a long, drawn-out process, and we have tried to walk this journey with the municipalities. But I do believe that as we presented before the intergovernmental relations framework, that we perhaps need to have a special force where we are able to have heightened police officers assisting us on a regular basis to go into this so-called no-go areas, both from our end and the end of the municipalities. Chair, if there's an interest in terms of those details in the numbers, our CFO can then add from where I've left off. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your answers. May I just ask a follow-up on the power failures? You have not investigated, or I think you have looked at in-pipe turbines in your big pipes to generate electricity with the water pressure going through them. How far are you with such an investigation?
Yeah.
Or is that more or less what you are talking about, your hydro electricity generating? And then, yes, I would like to agree, and that's why we had a meeting with National Treasury. We need to look at another funding model of municipalities. It is just not right that municipalities owe a water board money and they get equitable share. They can spend that on anything else than paying their water. The money comes from government. Water has been supplied. People need to pay for that water. If people don't pay for that water, there is equitable share that needs to be utilized. And then very important as well that we should look at a model where we ring fence the money of water, but unfortunately that will not assist the municipalities as the water losses is too high. So they are generating not enough cash to pay the water boards, and therefore I as a chair believe that National Treasury and COCTA and Water and Sanitation that represents, and the minister that represents the water board need now to finalize a new funding model to make sure that our water boards is sustainable and that we don't get collapse of water boards. And the municipalities that are paying, they will also suffer because they will also not get water if the water boards do collapse. May I then ask before I ask Honourable Kobe, I'll come to you, Honourable Member.
No. I need to raise a point of order now, because Kobe is coming with her input. I want to raise a point of order on you.
You want to raise a point on order on me? Now raise your point of order, Member.
No, Chairperson, the manner in which you are operating is very unfair. You don't allow us to ask questions. After every member spoke, you ask questions yourself. You need to give yourself time after everyone asks questions to ask your own question. You can't be doing that. We also wanted to follow up.
You will get your opportunity if you
but
don't.
We also wanted to follow up. You can't operate like that.
You will get
your also wasting time.
Member.
You told us about time, but it's you who's eating time now.
No.
I also wanted to follow up on my question, but I couldn't.
Member, I now ask you to put off your mic.
After each and every speaker you are talking. It's not your meeting alone.
Honourable
As
Kobe,
members
you can
of
ask
parliament,
your
we are allowed to ask questions. You can't treat us like that.
I am not doing it. You understand what
No. I've been monitoring you from this morning.
Honourable Member, now ask you to put off your mic, please. Honourable Member,
we are not asking you questions. We are asking the rainwater department. You must chair the meeting. Your responsibility is to chair the meeting, not what you are doing.
You are wasting.
Because we are wasting time as well.
I'm also a member of this committee. I'm also allowed to ask questions.
No, but you can't do that. Allow us also to follow up after each and every speaker. You can't operate like that.
Honourable Member, I really plead with you just to relax.
But we are asking you nicely as well. Don't operate like
fine,
that.
Honourable Member.
You can't be doing like that after each and every speaker you are following up. We also want to follow up.
I take your point,
Your committee alone, we also want to speak.
Honourable Member, I take your point. Let's go on. Honourable Kobe.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to speak on a few issues. Just maybe I'll keep it short and brief as you've asked us. I recently went on oversight at the city of Ekurhuleni, and I just maybe want to ask around those issues. I think I want to ask a question on the supply versus the licensing. The city of Ekurhuleni has been issued with a license of 1,035 mils to draw, but at the moment there's an excess storage and not enough supply from rainwater, and maybe we should be asking what could be the reason for this. And also, it is on public record that between 2016 and 2021, Ekurhuleni had built 29 reservoirs. I just need to know from the department, from the board side, how many are complete, how many of these are complete and commissioned, how many are in the pipeline, and how many are abandoned. Because I do know that City of Ekurhuleni has recorded to actually have the lowest non-revenue water in Gauteng Province at 29%. So maybe I would just need to know what could be the reasons that the residents in Ekurhuleni are suffering from, water shortages. And also, Chair, I think, the role of ESCOM in all of these inefficiencies, we would like maybe a plan from the board to see how far they are in terms of when they will get off the grid, and maybe have a constant supply, which will ensure that they are providing water reliably to communities. And also, I just need to know with the debt levels at Ekurhuleni, they were quite transparent when they told us about the debt levels there, but I just need to know in terms of intergovernmental relations, what are their engagement ensuing between Ekurhuleni and the water board, and how far are these? I just need to know if maybe there wasn't just blame game going on, if we can trust that they are negotiating in good faith to ensure that the debt levels are covered. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable. Thank you, Honourable Member. Can I maybe ask that if you do speak and you've got bandwidth, that you could just put on your camera, please. Apparently, they are also, it's on TV at the moment. Can I then ask Rand Water to answer those questions?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Oh, sorry.
You can proceed, Madam Sir.
Oh, sorry, apologies, Chair. Honorable Member Kobe, I've heard of that number from Ekurhuleni in terms of 1,000 something in terms of the license. Ekurhuleni, we do not issue a license to Ekurhuleni, and Ekurhuleni does not get a license from anybody. You get a license if you abstract directly from the Department of Water and Sanitation. So I saw that, but I did not. Yes, I hope you can see me. Yeah. So I saw that number in one of the communique from a group that we belonged to of 1,000 plus megaliters of water a day in terms of that license. I must say, I do not know where that number comes from. We have a bulk water supply agreement with Ekurhuleni, and in terms of that number, we are supposed to supply in respect to the annual average daily demands. But as we speak, Ekurhuleni is abstracting at that amount of close to about 1,000 liters of water a day. And yes, correctly, they have, relatively speaking, the lowest non-revenue water in Gauteng. We have seen it to be below 29, and then of course the non-revenue water should be at least at around that number. So I think in the grand scheme of things, they have, and they need to be commended for having one of the best water conservation and demand management measures. The challenge is that Ekurhuleni needs more water. And the challenge, as it has been indicated, we are abstracting at max, i.e. we, despite them having some of the best non-revenue water program in Gauteng, they need more water. They need of us to keep water at the highest level in the reservoir. But as I explained, if we have a demand that is more than what we are able to pump in the system, we cannot keep that water in the reservoir to build head for them. In terms of the reservoirs that they've built from 2026 to 2021, I will not be able to respond to that. And I think you indicated that there are some that are abandoned. Unfortunately, that number has not been brought to our attention. In terms of the debt, debtors days with the municipality, I think as we speak, their account is in order. The municipality is on an extended payment program. In terms of their debt set, in terms of our bulk water supply agreement, the municipalities are supposed to pay at 30 days, but we have reached an agreement with them that they will split their accounts in terms of 60-40, which is perfectly understandable, given the challenges that they have on the ground. So the long and short of it, and then if you also go through other municipalities, everybody is wanting more water. Everybody feels that we need to be putting more into the system to supply them. And then unfortunately, as you indicate, their view is that the non-revenue water is less. It's 29%. Why are they not getting more? But unfortunately, from our end, we just don't have any more water to give, still acknowledging the efforts that they are making in terms of dealing with non-revenue water. Thank you, Chair.
The second question was on the when do you expect to get off the grid?
Yeah. Oh, it's a difficult one. Not anytime soon. I think we're anticipating that we'll eat this elephant through bite-sized chunks. The hydro that we're talking about will just give us about 10%. And then we already have the second scheme underway. Chair, I'll be honest with you. In terms of the amount of power, north of 300 megawatts, that we need is very difficult to get off the grid. It's not a generator thing. It's not a solar thing. You really need to bulk up in that regard. So for now, our best bet is to have various feeds that come into our supply from the municipality and Eskom at this point in time. But what we're also trying to do, we have appointed a transactional advisor to take us through these big infrastructure programs that are related to getting us off the grid. As soon as that is completed, we'll go on a marketplace and really get huge schemes like we are seeing driven by Eskom and Department of Energy to get us off the grid. So depending on what the transactional advisor technically advises, we will then map out a detailed plan to say exactly on which date will be off the grid. It will be a function of what the proposal are we getting. It will be a function of costs associated with them, the nature of that proposal, and therefore the megawatts that come through it. So at this point in time, we are doing those detailed assessment and analysis. And unfortunately, I'm not able to give you an exact date as to when will rainwater be out completely off the grid, except to say I'm confident that in the next year or so, we will have some green energy in our supply to reduce reliance on Eskom and the municipalities.
Thank you very much. Can we now go for a second round of questions? Any member that would like?
Chairperson. Yeah.
Honorable
Chairperson.
I haven't seen your hand, Honorable Ditebe.
I beg your pardon?
I did not see your hand, so my apology. I now also see another hand. So can I first give the opportunity to those who have not asked question, Ditebe, Honorable Ditebe. You can ask your question, and then I would go to Mosekatse, and then Ramoil, then Honorable Motlala, and then Honorable Moore. So you are welcome to go ahead, Honorable Member.
Yeah, Chairperson, I suggest you just look at the list of participants, then you'll see who it is that has raised their hand, because when you asked us to raise our hands, I should have spoken after the second or third person, but I've been waiting ever since because I didn't want to interrupt you. But anyway, let me proceed.
My apology, member. I can see the other hands. I have not seen yours, but you're welcome to continue now. I apologize.
Yeah. Chairperson, thank you very much. Maybe let me just start from the very last point that Group CEO has spoken to, and that is that of getting off the grid. I don't know if we try to solve a problem. Let's not, make the process of solving the problem too complex for us to solve the problem. We do understand that actually at the moment, the problem, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, the problem, Chairperson, is not with the network of Eskom, as it were, but the network of municipalities. And at some point, the Minister of Electricity and Energy actually raised this, if there is no regular maintenance of the network of municipalities themselves, in as much as we may have ended the days of load shedding, but we will have a problem in that respect. It is, I suggest, something similar to no revenue water, while there might be no problem like Rand Water. Loss of water is 4%, they say, and if Johannesburg alone is about 50% or so, you can imagine that. So what I'm saying, Chairperson, is that we should, if we have to do a hybrid for lights, for cameras, for whatever, that's okay. But I think if we imagine that Rand Water can, in the short period of time, be off the base load of Eskom, I don't know if we are not complicating things and making them much more difficult for ourselves, because the most immediate thing, obviously, yes, is to protect the grid. We do know that if there's intermittent supply of water, it damages the infrastructure that we know. So I'd like the CEO to respond to that, whether in fact it is something worth pursuing in the context of them being totally off the grid. If you follow the argument of Honorable Kobe, for example. Chairperson, I just want to conclude with a few remarks here. As a country, we set in terms of our own goals and targets in the National Development Plan that we want, among other things, to pursue a capable, ethical, and developmental state. And so many times you will have publications, some of which are international or many of which are international, which will say South Africa is likely to be a failed state and all of that. Now, if we cannot get our wastewater treatment works working, if we cannot get our water treatment works plants working, etc., you can imagine what that will do. The very people that we want to serve and must serve will rise up against institutions of government if they fail. What am I saying, Chairperson? We must stop this thing of making excuses for people to not pay for services. We know that we've got equitable share, we've got indigent registers of indigents, etc. And those should be managed properly so that people, if it's so many kiloliters of water or whatever amount of energy that each household should get, and beyond which then they can start paying. We should stick to that because at the moment, you see, Rand Water is doing quite well, but you can see that it too is being dragged down by the same challenges that Vaal Central Water and Mahalis have faced over a period of time. In one municipality in the Free State owes Vaal Central Water 6.4 billion rand. See, so I'm saying, Chairperson, that this is a water board that is owed in excess of 7 billion rand by a number of municipalities. Some municipalities in Mpumalanga are not responsive. Some are trying, but we need to get all of them to work together. As you've said correctly so, Chairperson, even those municipalities that are doing their best, if it comes to a point that Rand Water is not able to service its entire jurisdictional area, even those that are compliant will not be able to get water, because as we know, we don't just harvest water from the rain when it rains and then start using it. It gets treated and it costs money. So, Chairperson, I'm actually pleading that as members of the portfolio committee in our respective roles, we all have a common interest to have an entity like Rand Water, Umgeni, Tugela, and Mahalis, Vaal Central, all of these to function and support our department. If we do not do that, the very people that we think we are serving by excusing their behavior will rise up, and no institution of the state will ever have any respect or be trusted by the people. So we need to understand that. I thought, Chairperson, that I should make those remarks because it is important that we do that. Lastly, Chairperson, perhaps if the Minister could advise us, Rand Water has said we need to then get the equitable share that is due to municipalities because they are defaulting and all of that. In her conversation with the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, does the Minister think that it is something that is doable so that then, the water boards can be helped? At the same time, Chairperson, without suggesting that those that are able to pay should be excused from doing so. Of course, we know that there are billing challenges in municipalities and all that. Chairperson, I've asked that question and I thought I should make those remarks. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Rand Water, would you like to respond? And then there was a direct question to the Minister as well.
Maybe just to respond also to the previous question a bit as to what have we done in terms of finding alternative arrangement. I think what we have done as a stop measure is to say that we have engaged, for instance, we have serious challenges in the power supplied by Emfuleni. We partnered with the municipality to maintain that substation, and there are lesser problems now. We had also approached City Power that supplies Ekenhof to say to City Power, we want to partner with you, and where possible, even employ you or use you as an implementing agent to assist us with all power-related matters, because we are not power experts. That discussion with the then chair and the CEO of City Power didn't go much, and with the previous mayors of Johannesburg. We have also, in our meeting with Ekurhuleni, which was held on the 10th of October, had discussions to deal with the short-term challenges of power supply, and we spoke about them applying for a ring feed that will enable us, when there's a power failure, to use that almost a parallel line, if I understand electricity well, a parallel line that will connect if there's a challenge in the main line. So these are the interventions that we have engaged in. The board, strategic goal is not to move out of the grid Honorable Ditebe, is more to say we want to reduce our dependency. Therefore, we are looking at different alternative power sources so that when we have challenges, we are able to deal with those challenges. The CE has indicated that the kind of power that we require we cannot even use generators. We do have generators for intervention, but our main infrastructure cannot be operated by those generators. The CE will add if I've left something out. CE?
No, Chair, I think that is sufficient. I think you're right. It may not be possible to get off the grid completely, but that is why we say let's allow professionals to have a look at the network and advise accordingly. And it may well be, it may go where that we still need that base load and build from there. So I think in the short, medium term, we will still be relying on electricity from ESCOM and working with our municipality to work and find ways and means to stabilize their grid. They have also been greatly impacted by load shedding. We do understand that, but as we ramp up, we believe that the assessment that we're going to do will also identify opportunities beyond the current that we have on the table. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Would you like to answer the last question of Honorable Ditebe?
Chair, thank you very much to that question by Honorable Ditebe. Chair, we agreed in Cabinet to establish an IMC. That IMC will be composed of Water, National Treasury, COGTA, Human Settlement, and Energy and Electricity. There are 3 departments that are whose work is interconnected when it comes to water. Is electricity, water, and human settlement. And all of us are facing similar challenges of non-payment by municipalities. We made a clear proposal that let the equitable share not to be released directly to municipalities as they owe these water boards, as they owe electricity. And let National Treasury find a way, a legal route of doing that. It is doable. We just need to put that in a proper context. Honorable Ditebe raised something very important on the user pay policy. It is true that there is no enforcement on those who have used water to be able to pay. But municipalities as well must correct their billing system and bill correctly and be able to collect the revenue. And when they collect the revenue, we have been making a call that all the water sales must be invested back to the water infrastructure so as to avoid what Rand Water has alluded to say the non-revenue is caused by water that is running down the street that is not accounted for, and that causes municipalities to have high bills in terms of owing the water board. So the DG want to just make a slight addition, because DG is sitting also in that task team that is working with National Treasury. Through you, Chair, may I kindly request DG just a minute to also quantify what I was talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just to add to the Minister, we have been having discussions with National Treasury around this issue. You will recall that the Portfolio Committee tasked us to, together with National Treasury, work on the issue of the debts owed to the water boards, and that you would call us back. So we are ready to come back to the Portfolio Committee together with National Treasury, and our response will include this issue about the equitable share. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, that meeting will take place on the 12th of November. Can I now ask Honorable Mosekatsi? She had her hand up. And after her, then Honorable Matlala could have her second round of questions.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good evening to the Minister. Good evening to the board members and honorable members. Chair, my question to the board of Randwater is that because they indicate in the report that they will be signing a special purpose vehicle of Ekurhuleni municipality. So my question to them is that are they planning to replicate it to other municipalities too in Gauteng? And then to the Department of Water and Sanitation, I've got two questions. With reference to the anticipated water day zero for certain parts of Johannesburg, and this water crisis having been largely resulted in poor water management and governance systems. How is the department going to address the inadequacies of the water management and governance system in a short-term, medium-term, and long-term to ensure water security, not only for Johannesburg, but for the country broadly? And then my last question, Chair, to the department. The country's water consumption significantly surpassed the global average of 173 liters per person per day, with our consumption standing at 235 liters, which is 36% of the 64 liters higher than the global average. What are the plans being implemented by the department to mitigate this high consumption and ensure water conservation for security and for future generations? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The first question was to the chairperson of Rand Water Board. Could you maybe answer that question concerning the agreement with municipalities?
Yeah, thank you for the question. We have a number of municipalities in Gauteng and in other provinces that in areas that we control or that we service, that is in Mpumalanga and the Free State and Gauteng. Most municipalities in Gauteng would like to enter into the special purpose vehicle arrangement with us. That also includes, I think, Tshwane Metro that we met last week on Friday. We're actually saying they were wondering why we're not involving them. So I think we're considering all those to depend on a number of factors that our executives and the board to look at in terms of the viability of each and every municipality's proposal. So yes, we are intending, and we're doing this because we have realized that over time we have been doing the same thing. Engaging municipalities around non-payment, engaging municipalities around their deteriorating infrastructure. And therefore, no, we don't see any results. Instead, we see deterioration of these issues that we are raising. There's no improvement. So the SPV model is a paradigm shift in terms of how we want to ensure the security of water for areas where we are, but also to ensure that Rand Water and municipalities to a large extent also are sustainable. So yes, we are extending that. It will be as and when municipalities approach us, and they are now approaching us, we'll look at each case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second question was to the department. Minister, are you taking that question?
Thank you very much, DG, and thank you to the question by Honorable Musikati. The issue of ensuring water security and water supply, ongoing water supply and water security, it all depends on how municipalities are managing their water. As we said that we have met almost 4, if not 5 provinces with municipalities that are unable to manage their debts because they are unable to afford what they owe to the water boards. The high consumption, how are we intending to deal with that or to control that? That is what we have already allowed Rand Water to do, where we put a municipality or the entire province under a restricted level. Hence, we are on level 1 in Gauteng. But we did not just put level 1. There are certain conditions to say, if we are to have enough water, let's do the following. I said we told municipalities that they must ensure that they disconnect all the illegal connections. That is doable. We said they must close the leaks. That is doable. If we could do those things that look small, but they have huge impact in terms of water supply, in terms of water security, and if that is not done, it will be difficult for us and the water ports to be able to control and ensure that there is sufficient supply of water. So, as the Honorable Mahlangu said earlier on, that it is important that action must be taken, but let's bring COGTA on board. We have already spoken to SALGA. I think honorable members might have seen the statement of SALGA, that SALGA now is also going to take action, because you have municipal officials that are supposed to monitor and do what is expected to be done. Unfortunately, every time when the chips are down, people that are put on the spot are politicians who are not managing the facilities like water infrastructure. Digital Resmati can just make a 1 minute edition on this. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. DG?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think the addition that I want to put on, it's at the department, we actually, through our water conservation and water demand management, we have a program, Chair, that is called water use efficiency. It's linked directly to what the CEO of Rand Water spoke about, specifically on the water consumption across the country. So we've been rolling out the program throughout the country, and we're not only focusing on the metros, but we're focusing on the 144 water service authorities. So what we do monitor their water balance. We do monitor which strategies are they putting in place to address the high consumption. So it talks exactly to what the honorable member has actually raised. But what we have actually picked up, Chair, is that this is actually linked to our not drop report. As you know, we've published that. So part of our request of the corrective action plans that we request water service authorities to provide, they're actually designed to address some of these shortcomings so that we minimize the high water consumptions. Challenges that we pick up is specifically the low implementation of some of these water conservation, water demand management strategies, issues of budgeting, capacity issues, and also governance issues that are actually more dominant in our water service authorities. But I think the better part of it is, since the committee seeks to want to have COGTA and ourselves back in the platform, I think some of these questions and the strategies that we are co-implementing will actually bear much more result. But this is how we are rolling out. But the last part that maybe I should add, Honorable Minister and Chair, is that as part of our water use efficiency, we're actually also monitoring the 8 large water supply systems, which are linked to our metros, just like the integrated river system. Is part of our monitoring of high consumptions in areas that are of high demand, specifically in our metro related areas. So the department does run that program and we monitors it on an annual basis. Hence, we are able to produce the result and tell the country of how much consumption we are having in benchmarking against the world average. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. Honorable Matlala, your second round of questions.
Oh, thanks so much. Let me just go straight to the question. It's actually not a question. I just want to speak to the response from the chair of Rand Water, together with Mr. Msai, the CEO, earlier when they were responding on the issue of Eguru Lane. You know, Chair, when I listened to the chair of Rand Water responding to the question on Eguru Lane, he expressed serious issues with Eguru Lane, struggling to even just control his temper, which need to be changed. When responding, he said that every time he's responding, he's saying that we must direct those questions to the municipality, of which to me, I see that as being out of order and uncalled for. You know, the chair in his presentation when he started, he spoke about smear campaign. And when I look at the presentation today and the manner in which he was responding to our question with regards to Eguru Lane, now I see sign of sabotage from Rand Water against Eguru Lane municipality. They come here, they speak about high level of non-revenue water, as if other municipalities, they don't face similar issues. We are not saying that they must not talk about that. Eguru Lane is 29% non-revenue water. City of Tshwane, what percent are they at? Close to 60 or 70% non-revenue water. And that goes unaddressed, and that goes, no one speaks about that. We must not come here and misrepresent the situation in Eguru Lane. Another thing which I've just learned, from October the 14th, the reservoir of Rand Water, it never have water of about 50% in their reservoirs. How do Rand Water manage to extract water from their reservoirs to the municipality reservoirs under those conditions? On the 14th of October, Rand Water, you were sitting on 45.3%. On the 15th, you were sitting on 47.4%. On the 16th October, you were sitting on 48.5%. How do you give other reservoirs waters when you can't fill your own reservoir as the service provider to the municipality? And lastly, the other question I want to ask, what is a no-drop award certification? Because Eguru Lane received a no-drop certification. Today we are hearing here that Eguru Lane is a bad municipality, which is having so many problems that we had, of which other municipalities did not have. For that matter, Eguru Lane just paid its invoice now. They are now working on paying the interest of the invoice, but they've paid. And the daily meetings that you are talking about here, these daily meetings are initiated by the municipality itself, not Rand Water. That is a sign that Eguru Lane is being handled with rough hands by Rand Water. How the chairperson responded with anger. Every time he responds, he can't just answer questions. He keeps saying that I must go and ask those questions to Eguru Lane. What is that? I mean, the portfolio committee meetings here, you must answer our questions. And if you feel like the municipality must respond, state it in a proper manner, not the manner in which you were stating. So I just wanted to respond on that in terms of how Eguru Lane is being rated today in this meeting, as if the political heads or anyone who's handling that, who's leading that Department of Water and Sanitation doesn't know what he's doing. So the chair also said that you must mention peoples by names, those ones that are not attending meeting. People of Ekurhuleni, I'm speaking to them, they are attending the meetings. Those daily meetings, they are in the meetings. And if they are not in the meeting, they have other commitments attending to. So we must not come here and point fingers on each other as if there's something wrong or you are now saying other people are not doing their work. The same of what is happening in Ekurhuleni is happening in other municipalities. It's better even with Ekurhuleni, they have what we call a no-drop certification. Can we start there? What is a no-drop certification so that we can understand what we are speaking about? And why did they get that certificate if they are doing so bad? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Rand Water, would you like to recommend, would you like to speak on this?
Yeah, we would
I
like
think the
to
others,
respond.
it was a question. The
Yeah,
non-revenue water.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks, Honorable Mushala, for raising those issues. You'll pardon me, my voice is not that, it's probably how I speak. So if you take offense to that, my apologies. I don't think there's anybody who said that, who spoke bad about Ekurhuleni. I think is to indicate the interactions that we have had with municipalities. In my last response, to show that there is actually some level of relationship that we have with Ekurhuleni, I spoke about the discussion we had on the 10th of October to say that we agree that they will apply for a ring feed so that we mitigate against the electricity challenges. It's factual, of course, Honorable Mushala, through your chairperson, that today we lost power for 2 hours in an area where we are fed by Ekurhuleni. It's also a fact that 2 weeks ago, we also lost power from Eskom and Ekurhuleni for a number of times. Within 48 hours, the minister was also briefed. All municipalities, mayors, including MMCs, that were affected by that throughout the eastern part of the Rand water supply, were briefed every time power goes off and every time power goes, returns, and whenever our systems are about to recover. So we're not targeting Ekurhuleni, we are stating facts. And we also want to indicate that the daily meetings that our chief operating officer is chairing, those daily meetings were not initiated by Ekurhuleni. Those were the meetings that were initiated by the then minister, by the department, to say municipalities and Rand water must meet on a daily basis. Those meetings are not municipalities that have a specific challenge. If meetings did not sit, they sit and agree on whether the meeting should sit tomorrow or in the evening. Initially, those meetings were twice a day, in the morning and at 6 o'clock in the evening. So during that time, if municipality, a particular metro, has a challenge, that metro will call a meeting. Interacting with the rest of the metros, it will call a meeting, and the rest of the others will come in. I think what the CE has said, which I agree with, is that we want senior people that take decisions to sit in those meetings. It doesn't matter whether it's Johannesburg. In fact, I've even raised that with the COO of Johannesburg, that you should attend these meetings because we send the most senior person, the chief operating officer of Rand water, to attend this meeting. As a COO of Rand water, it's not clear to me why you are not attending this meeting. So I don't think we should create an impression here that Ekurhuleni is targeted. We have been fair, we have presented facts, and those facts can be substantiated if need be. And on the issue of water loss, I think if municipalities, in particular, if metros meet with Randwater at a decision-making level on a daily basis, they are able, as the CE has indicated, to manage the system because that system is currently vulnerable. So the most senior people are supposed to be there. We, of course, do appreciate that in some instances, our chief operating officer may be there, the senior general manager will be there. But the expectation is that senior people that are supposed to take decisions must be part of those decisions. I wouldn't answer the question on the Northrop. I think the department will respond. What does that Northrop mean? I hope I've responded to all those questions. And if I've left something, I'll request the group chief executive to also add. I must confess that, Chairperson, that we do have a relationship with Ekurhuleni, and that relationship is for years. For that reward that they got in January is because of the work and the relationship that they've had with Randwater, because we are working together with them. So there's no reason now for us to have a problem with Ekurhuleni. Thank you. If you can allow the CE to add, if he has something to add. CE?
Yes, Chair. I just think through you, Chair, to let on the last point that you made, I think we have a very good relationship, at least from where I am, with Ekurhuleni. In fact, Honorable Mamsala, the meeting that we held, Chair, I think you said on the 10th of October, chaired by Honorable Councillor Msani, I thought it really went well. The issues that, by and large, you raised in this meeting were raised cordially. We had our issues, they had issues, and from that meeting we took resolutions. As far as I'm concerned, there's a need to follow up on those issues. So I think from where I'm sitting, I want to echo that we do have a good relationship. And the point of the morning meetings is that, and really it would be nice if the HOD attends. And I know he's got other commitments, I know he's busy. But of course he lays his eyes on the reservoirs. And ideally, if he's in that meeting, it makes it easy to understand why certain reservoirs are at a certain level. I've also indicated around the issues of the levels in terms of wanting the reservoirs to be at a certain percentage. He wants the reservoir to be at, particularly Vlakfontein Reservoir, to be at 45 and north, so that he uses the head in Vlakfontein to supply far-flung areas of Etwater. We indicated in that meeting, during high demand, because Vlakfontein supplies Ekurhuleni, supplies Tshwane, and Mpumalanga's municipality, it's very difficult to keep it at that, because water that goes into the reservoirs, because of a high demand in the municipalities, doesn't stay. So the times of relying on the head in Vlakfontein are quite sparse or almost impossible if you look at the demands that are there. I'm saying if you put water in the reservoir, it's taken out. You can't build head. So those times of relying on rainwater's head are past. What we are encouraging and recommending, build additional storage on your side, boost more water on your side to assist those far-flung areas. There is no science that says reservoirs must be 45, 50% and above. And if a reservoir is below 50% and below, therefore you are failing. And we explained this to Ekurhuleni. So the best that we need to do with them, as recommended from the system supply for Etwater, in terms of what we shared from the consultants, is to sit down and say, how do we synchronize the activities from our end and your end so that those far-flung areas do not rely on the head in the Vlakfontein Reservoir? And to that effect, we agreed that they will meet with us, we'll go into those, and we will find a way of ensuring those areas in the far-flung areas get water without having our reservoirs at 50%. The reservoir cannot be at 50% because the demand for water downstream is more than what we are pumping into the system. The only way that we can keep the reservoirs at that level is to throttle water going out to the municipalities, which will make the situation worse. But again, I'm sure there will be an engagement with Ekurhuleni, Honorable Mhlala, chaired by Councillor Msane, and these things we will, again, in the spirit of the partnership that we have with them, find a way of resolving them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy Minister Mahlobo, I saw your hand up. Did you want to answer the non-drop certificate?
No, thanks, Chairperson. Well, I thought that the chairs responded. Honorable Mohlala, the fact of the matter that while you are doing home defending for Ekurhuleni, the issues of the vulnerability of the system, Chairperson, like you're being told, is being managed on an ongoing basis. I wanted to answer that it's a misrepresentation to think that our strategic approach to say, let's manage the system on a daily basis of technical teams, DG assigned the DDG Rismatemat, including the provincial heads. It's happening in all provinces because we knew that the system is vulnerable on a number of fronts, which is issues of intermittent supply of electricity. But at the very same time, there were issues of load shedding, inadequate capacity, and all the issues of the leaks. Therefore, that idea does not generate from Ekurhuleni. It's from the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. It's our idea. And at a certain point, ourselves were actually managing those technical teams in Tswane. And we should be able to manage that. But I must confess that the relationship between Ekurhuleni and Rand Water is very, very good. The mayor is leading from the front, including the MMC responsible. But the Premier has actually made it his business chair. There is no Premier. After Minister engaged with the leadership of Gauteng and other municipalities, this matter is being dealt on a weekly basis where they sit. And the management of the system is also going to be very important that in as much as you read issues of percentages, Chair, we shouldn't conflate it with the issues of the volumes. You can actually have a very lower percentage, but the volumes are high. And whatever units you use is an important issue. We did award them, Chairperson. I was there when they were awarded the certificates on a number of areas, including the issues that they were awarded the certificate on blue drop. And most of these municipalities in Gauteng that have received blue drop is because of the quality of the water that Rand Water is treating. Where there are water boards, there's a high percentage in terms of performance. And we're very pleased with the performance of Ekurhuleni around this. But they still have to replace the infrastructure because even if it's a 29% share, a 29% of 1,000 megaliters, what does it mean, Chairperson? It means about 290 million liters. That's what it means. And there are times when this issue of the inclement weather, there was a heat wave, the figures were going up. That's why you saw it in the presentation. But they've agreed on the things that have been presented on the decision of the minister and the premier. Level 1 restriction, that's the way to go, and it's happening. We took a decision to fix leaks as they happen there and there, all over Gauteng. But it does not necessarily mean that they can't still push it down because it has an impact. But we must commend with the turnaround we see with the new leadership of Ekurhuleni, led by the executive mayor, supported by his executive. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Moore.
And cognizant of the time, of saying I had 20 questions, and apologies to CE that I was talking so fast was to get you those questions. I think we're all in agreement. The minister actually started off by providing very direct, and I think it
Chair was struggling to hear Honorable Moore, Chair.
Can you put off your camera, please? We can't hear you. Thank you.
Apologies, Chair. Again, well, so I was saying we're all in agreement, I think. The minister started by providing us with direction, and I think who read the report understands that it is counting municipalities that cause this prioritize their water infrastructure and keep non-revenue water under control. I hope to get specific on this because from the president, quite clear.
Honorable Chair, can you request the Honorable Moore to shift from where he is now because we're struggling to hear him, please.
Yeah, I think the signal is
Chair,
bad.
let me re-log in on another device. I'll come back now.
Okay, can I then give the opportunity to Honorable Ditebe?
Chairperson, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Chairperson, I agree with the Honorable Deputy Minister, and perhaps to say that, you know, as members of Parliament, we have a constitution that governs the work we do as members of the portfolio committee, various portfolio committees. And perhaps if we were to go just to section 1D of that constitution, it speaks about processes leading to our being elected, as the constitution says, as freely elected representatives. And I just want to underscore two to three things. It says that that is in addition to a universal adult suffrage, common national voters roll, a multi-party system of government that is accountable, that is open, that is responsive. What am I saying, Chairperson? I'm saying regardless of who it is that I'm connected to politically, it may be a municipality which is governed by a party that I belong to, if it does not subscribe to those particular prescripts of the constitution. I'll make an example. Machabeng, I'm very much ashamed. It's a municipality that I come from, and I raise this with councillors there who come from my party about the fact that they are burdening the Val Central Water with their 6.4 billion rand. So, in other words, my responsibility as a member of Parliament, first and foremost, is to ensure that openness, accountability, and responsiveness. And I think that should be our attitude. If we're going to treat any other corner of the country, a municipality like our Poodle, present it as if it's a victim, we are going nowhere fast. Just recently, there's an NGO called Africa No Filter. It estimates that as a result of negative media coverage against African countries could be losing up to $4.2 billion because of just from the point of view of servicing their debt because of negative stereotypes. So if we keep saying certain things, against the Rand Water, this water board, etc., they've said to us, we are self-financing. We are pleading with you as members of Parliament to find other ways in addition to us, selling water to municipalities, etc. And we should be very supportive. Chair, just a question perhaps to the water board. I think it's yeah, this whole issue of reducing over-reliance on water from Lesotho. Do they have a plan as to how do they want to get out of that situation? And what will it take in practical terms, with support from us, with support from the department, so that they get out of that situation? It is something that we need to think about, obviously, in the context of climate change. And lastly, Chairperson, if they get paid, for example, within 110 days after they have bulk supplied water to municipalities, and I think it's within 5 days that they have to pay the department, how much are we talking about this money that they either gets delayed before it gets paid or it gets lost? Chairperson, thank you.
Thank you very much. Rand Water.
Thank you, Honorable Ditabek. CE, can you, and CFO, if you can respond to that?
Yes, Chair, could I request the CFO to assist me with that one?
CFO, through your Chair.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Good evening to the honorable members of Parliament and the Chairperson and the Minister and officials of DWS. Chair, indeed, the delayed payment from municipalities has had a significant impact on the liquidity levels of the Rainwater as an organization, and mainly as a result of, with the main contributor coming from the non-performing customers. There is a larger component that's coming from the Gauteng municipalities, and 2 from the Mpumalanga municipalities, as the Group Chief Executive has cited, Govan Beki and Victor Kanye. In total, we've got a debt that's actually outstanding of about 7.8 billion. And but from a credit management perspective, we do have relief programs that we have provided to our municipalities, one of which is a special payment arrangement for extended payment terms, wherein we allow them to actually pay their monthly account over in 2 tranches. That has improved, our liquidity levels somewhat, because then it allows that at least in 45 days, the full account is then now paid. Unfortunately, the overdue historical debt is only repaid, over a longer period of time. We've managed in the last year to at least collect approximately 95% of the debt, but not much movement has actually been made on the historical overdue debt. We've had engagements with the Department of Water and Sanitation, and they have also provided us with a bit of relief, in a sense that they have allowed us to have an extended payment period, wherein we pay our raw water bill within 60 days. So it provides us at least an opportunity to allow for that term and for those outflows to actually then now coincide with the repayment that we're actually making to the Department of Water and Sanitation. Our monthly bill to the department is between 800 to almost $1 billion on a monthly basis, and which will then be coincide with the 45-day payment period that we have actually provided to our customers. So effectively, if all municipalities, even as well as the non-paying ones, could actually then honor their accounts, then it will enable us to meet our full monthly payments to the department. At the moment, the non-paying municipalities are unable to do so. So we are relying on those ones, the metros, as well as the performing municipality, like, for instance, Midfar, that provides us with sufficient liquidity to honor the account. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. CE, can you respond through your chair, respond to the issue of alternative water supply or water source rather?
Yes, Chair, I think it's an important one. We actually looking at various options. I think one of that option, top of our list, is to effluent reuse and reclaiming water from the wastewater treatment works that is currently characterized as wastewater. In Mfuleni, where we have a partnership, we are looking at using water from Sebokeng wastewater treatment works so that we supply all the users that need water for non-drinking water purposes, public spaces, and the industry. We believe and the Ditebe that we will then assist us to alleviate the demand for clean drinking water for non-drinking water purposes. We are also in discussion with other municipalities, and those discussions at an advanced stage. What we have also we're looking at local water supply in terms of using Fisher water. For example, in Ekurhuleni, for the areas of Etwatwa, which are in the far east of our area of operation, our view is that we need to look for localized sources to meet the demand in that area, because increasingly it's becoming difficult to get more water from one source, which is Lesotho. And as the discussion is currently ensuing, the cost associated with building dams is becoming very prohibitive, and it creates affordability challenges. So we are looking at various options in terms of doing that. We are also in discussion with TCTA and other mines to look at the possibility of taking, albeit for now, cost prohibitive,
You must
or the
switch off
acid
the
mine.
video, CE.
Oh, okay, sorry. Apologies, Chair. I hope you can hear me now. Yeah. So I was talking lastly about looking at the possibility of looking at acid mine drainage water to supply some of the as the cost associated with desalting that water is coming down, various technology, but energy costs are prohibitive. So yes, we are looking at alternative sources of water to reduce dependency on Lesotho.
Thank you, Chairperson.
You have muted yourself, so you are finished on that question. It seems so. Honourable Moore, you are the last person to ask a question.
Thank you, Chair, and I hope this has been. I was going to say, Chair, that I think we're actually all in agreement. The Minister started right at the beginning by providing the direction. I think if anyone's read the report or gone through it, they'll understand that it is Gauteng municipalities that have caused this self-inflicted problem by failing to prioritize their water infrastructure and to keep non-revenue water under control. I had hoped to get more specific detail on this. I obviously joked about the 20 questions I had, and sorry to the CE for speaking fast. I was hoping to get through lots of questions, but we've run out of time on this call. And in a way that's sad, because I think it's critical to dig into the information that there simply isn't enough bulk water to allow Rand Water to try and treat additional water to get us out of this hole. We have to go back to those Gauteng municipalities. But I'd like to as my first question, I'd like to ask sincerely to Rand Water, if we have questions for information in order to, amongst other things, fight the smear campaign, can we write to the CE's office for a response and additional detail, as well as in emergency situations where areas have been without water for a week and fingers have been pointed at Rand Water? Is there some channel?
I think the honourable member has fallen off. I think we got the gist of his last question, but I would like to make a suggestion to the portfolio committee members that if we would like to ask additional questions, that we channel that through the portfolio committee and send those questions to the secretariat so that we can compile a question list to Rand Water and ask them to answer that questions for us in the next 14 days as soon as they have received that. I think I haven't seen the honourable member coming back, but I think we have exhausted our time. I would like to ask a final question that was a request from the committee side that you answer that. You haven't dealt with it. Can you just tell us what would the situation be if the tunnel is closed for longer than 6 months? Do you foresee any problem from Rand Water side or not? Thank you, and that will be the last question to Rand Water, and I would like to thank them for staying longer. We've been working very hard today. We will also request in the near future, within the next week or two, if we get approval, to visit Rand Water for a day and sit down so that they can show us their 120 years of experience in water. So if we can get an answer on my last question, I would appreciate that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. That question should be responded to by our Honorable Minister in the department. Thank you.
They have responded to that. I would like to get Rand Water's answer on that. I don't want to push you on that, but I just want to feel that whether you are comfortable, if it's longer than 6 months, you will still have enough water.
Yeah, we are comfortable. This is not the first time that such maintenance is done, Honorable Chair. There was 14 to 50, if not 18 dams that act as part of the Vaal River system. Some are in KZN, some are in the Free State, and so on. And those dams have enough water to assist Rand Water in case the Vaal Dam levels go down. And that decision is taken by the Department of Water and Sanitation at that point when they see a need to put more water into the Vaal Dam. So we are comfortable from our side because of that the whole Vaal River system that is there, that will feed into the Vaal Dam. I hope it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister, would you like to conclude this meeting?
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and to all honourable members. Let's appreciate your probing questions, all of you as honourable members, because as you said, Chair, that you need to be informed and be briefed properly what is happening around Gauteng in terms of water challenges. And we tried, Chair, to give that comprehensive update to you on what is happening. However, Chair, we have not ended there. We are still engaging with municipalities. We are engaging with provincial government because we don't want any of our provinces to be out of water. Whatever our water boards are doing in terms of restricting water is not for a bad reason, but it's for saving the communities to have water. And the reduction or this restriction does not mean there will be no water at all. It's just that the level is reduced. And secondly, Chair, with the closing of the tunnel, that tunnel, as we reported to the to the portfolio committee, we said it's going to be for 6 months. But I must assure you, Chair and honorable members of this portfolio committee, that the capacity of our storage facility, as well as the dams that can release water, we have up to 9 months that we can have water whilst the tunnel is closed. But we don't want to go to 9 months. We have told both sides, the South African side as well as the Lesotho side, that 6 months must be 6 months. We must not go up to 9 months. So I'm saying, Chair, your question that says, are they comfortable? Yes, there will be enough. There is enough water for 6 months, up to 9 months, but we don't want to go to 9 months. I want to also apologize if members felt that maybe Rainwater did not respond in accordance to the lingo that is understood by members. It is not of any disrespect to this meeting or to individual honorable members, not at all. If it sounded like that, I sincerely apologize as well on their behalf. But Chair, most of the members, as they were speaking, they captured it correctly that let municipalities take their responsibility. Municipalities have they receive their allocation, and they must do what is right. So, Chair, we will always subject ourselves for accountability, and we appreciate it. The more we engage, the more we become wise, all of us, and be able to take proper steps to change some of the things that really needs our attention. For that, Chair, we are really grateful for this meeting. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Thank you much to my colleagues in Parliament for sitting through the whole day since 9 o'clock this morning in meetings and in sittings. To the department and to Randwater, thank you for you also attending a meeting at night. And I would like to thank you for the presentation. And this meeting is then adjourned. Good night.
Good night, Chair.
Good night, Chair, and thank you for running this so well, Chair. Bye.
52 abantu